of the punch. For example, elbow angles indicate the inclination of the forearm. If the forearm is flattened out towards the opponent just before hitting, it indicates a full punch. However, if the forearm is inclined at an angle, it means that the punch halted in the middle and such a punch fails to deliver the entire force. The third feature extracted is the torso distance, which was used to calculate the back straightness. The user should keep their back straight during any practice or fight session. A constant torso distance on average, which is the distance between the neck and the mid-hip key points, accounts for the straightness of the back. Back straightness is important because it makes the whole body aligned, producing significantly more power and gives a better balance. To calculate the torso distance, we need to calculate the distance between the neck and the mid-hip key point for each frame. The mid-hip key point is calculated as the average of left and right hip key points. Because the torso length can change from one user to another, it is important to normalize all the user's torso distance data by the maximum torso distance achieved in a specific frame of the user. To compare this feature to the benchmark, an average value of torso distance is calculated, which is used to estimate how much of the average torso distance deviates from the benchmark. The similarity score is computed by subtracting 1 from the difference score. If the user's average torso distance is much lesser than the benchmark's average torso distance, it means that the user's posture of the back is incorrect. The fourth feature extracted is kinetic energy. The power with which an action is performed is one of the good aspects of a good performance according to the official guidelines for karate juries. The higher the velocity of the impact mass is, the more powerful and consequently more efficient the action is. For kinetic energy, we calculate two scores and then take the average of these two scores to generate one single score for kinetic energy, because single scores for kinetic energy wasn't giving good results. A combination of both works best on the entire dataset. As opposed to other researches which use kinetic energies extracted from all the key points, we only use 4 key points to extract the kinetic energies: left wrist, left elbow, and right elbow. These 4 key points are selected because in a punch block sequence, the most prominent velocity changes are happening in these 4 key points. The velocity of a key point is extracted using the Savitsky-Golay filter, which is later described in this video. For each key point, the velocity values are calculated for each and every frame and the mass is inputted by the user. For the first score, we are just interested in estimating the overall significant kinetic energy during the entire motion. We are not interested in individual kinetic energies of key points. Hence, we extract the maximum kinetic energy of each key point and then take the average of the maximum kinetic energies to account for the overall significant kinetic energy during the performance. In the equation, E sub I refers to the kinetic energies of key point I. To compare this feature to the benchmark, a difference score is computed by estimating how much this average kinetic energy deviates from the respective benchmark feature. The similarity score is computed by subtracting 1 from the difference score. However, if the user's kinetic energy is more than benchmark's kinetic energy, then the user is not penalized because having more energy is not bad. The second score for kinetic energy is computed by taking the Chebyshev distance between the kinetic energy benchmark vector and the kinetic energy user vector. This results in a difference score, and we can subtract 1 from it to get the similarity score. We then take the average of the similarity score because these are the similarity scores of the kinetic energy of the key points we mentioned. So we need to take the average of it to get one single number. These are the results of kinetic energy comparison on a good and a bad video. In a good video, the kinetic energy trends are almost similar to that of the benchmark. Hence, the kinetic energy score is very high, 82.5%. But in a bad video, the kinetic energy trends do not match with the benchmark, and they're extremely low too. Hence, the kinetic energy score is 54. The fifth and the last feature extracted is acceleration and deceleration balance, which is used to calculate the biomechanical efficiency of the overall performance. The biomechanical efficiency of the motion refers to the balance between acceleration and deceleration. While punching, it is important that the user's acceleration of hand is balanced by his deceleration, otherwise it might result in user hurting their hand. To compute the acceleration and deceleration balance, we need to compute the acceleration and deceleration time duration of both the wrist key points. The durations cannot be calculated using acceleration and deceleration values Hence, we cannot simply take the derivative of the velocity values. Therefore, to calculate the acceleration and deceleration time durations, we will split the velocity time data into two phases using the maximum velocity of the motion. In this way, the time duration before the maximum velocity is considered as an acceleration phase, and the duration after the maximum velocity is considered as deceleration phase. The ideal case happens when the time of acceleration is equal to the time of deceleration, producing a maximum balance. The balance score B, as described in the equation, can be used as a valid score, but to ease the penalty on the user and to standardize every feature to be compared against its corresponding benchmark feature, it is further compared with the balance score of the benchmark to measure how much it deviates from the benchmark's balance score. However, because the key points data is not stable, it is possible that the maximum velocity occurs right in the beginning or end of the motion, which is wrong because every user starts motion with an idle position and ends the motion with deceleration. So the maximum velocity cannot occur at the very beginning or at the end of the motion. To cater to this issue, we divide the velocity array into k sections and discard the first and the last section while calculating the maximum velocity. There is no restriction on the value of k, we have chosen 8 in our case. However, it should not be very small such that it discards large chunk of values and should not be very big that it doesn't solve the problem stated. This is the acceleration and deceleration balance comparison for good and bad video. We will ignore the maximum velocities at the end points as I just discussed. For the good video, the maximum velocity occurs nearly during the mid of the performance, creating almost equal time duration for acceleration and deceleration. Hence, its score is very high, 84%. But for bad video, the maximum velocity occurs in the start, making time for deceleration to be twice larger than time for acceleration. Hence, the score is low, 52%. Let me now describe a very cool algorithm that we used for temporal alignment. Dynamic time warping. To calculate the score based on angles, we cannot simply compare them with benchmark angles, as the probability that two users will produce perfectly aligned movements even if they are performing the exact same action is extremely low. So even if a user has performed an action exactly like benchmark, it is highly unlikely that their frame-to-frame poses will match because everyone performs at their own pace. Some movements might be slower, some might be faster, so it is impossible to compare frame-to-frame angles directly. To solve this misalignment issue, dynamic time warping is used to temporally align the frame data of user and benchmark. This is how we have implemented this algorithm. If a user's video has n frames and the benchmark video has m frames, then the dynamic time warping matrix is created of order m by n. And each matrix element is computed as the vector similarity between the vectors mi and ni. And these vectors are just the flattened 18 by 3 matrices containing a frame's data as we previously discussed. Temporal alignment is achieved through finding the optimal path in this matrix starting from either the first 5 frames of n or m. Very similar to how we find the optimal path in dynamic programming. As we said that each matrix element is basically the vector similarity between the benchmark frame data and the user frame data. We have defined these 4 types of metrics for vector similarity calculation in our implementation: the cosine distance, correlation, Euclidean distance, and the absolute difference. We also noticed that normalizing the entire frame vector also affects the vector similarity score. We also gave the option to select only specific key points for calculating vector similarity, and this produced results so much better, and I will soon explain its reason. So we found that the absolute difference metric, along with no normalization and selecting only these 6 key points, both the right and left shoulder, elbow and wrist key points, selecting only these 6 key points was giving good results in our dynamic time warping implementation. Let me explain why this makes sense. Because the difference metric outperforms all the other metrics in our implementation, so the normalized false does not alter the magnitude of differences. Also, because during a punch block sequence, the significant movement only happens in these 6 mentioned key points, we need to select only these key points. Otherwise, other key points average out the entire result and the key differences are lost, which are essential for alignment. These are the results produced. The left hand side shows the original alignment with no dynamic time warping, and the right hand side shows temporally aligned frames. The left hand side of each image shows the benchmark data. And notice how in the left image, the original alignment in benchmarks block corresponds to user sponge. But in the aligned frame on the right hand side, the benchmarks block perfectly aligns with the user's block. The final score is computed as the weighted average of individual feature scores. The weights of each features are predefined. The feedback is also generated on the basis of individual feature scores. So for example, if the kinetic energy score is not good, then the system will try to give a feedback like that you did not perform with enough kinetic energy and try to perform with a bit more next time. As I've already described, the pose estimation is very poor due to low net resolution. The extracted angles are cubic spline interpolated to give smooth results. This has helped improve the angle scores because without the spline interpolation, the angles were very jerky. Similarly, for velocity calculation, we cannot directly take the derivative of key point data because the data is very unstable and jerky. So for velocity calculation, we first ignore the key points whose confidence score is below a minimum threshold. That is just to ensure that any key point that has been predicted with a very low confidence score, it should not be included in the calculation as it would just distort the overall data. Then a cubic spline interpolation smoothes the key point data and also makes it equally spaced, because after we remove the key points based on the minimum confidence score threshold, the data doesn't remain equally spaced. And because we are using Savitzky-Golay filter to take the derivative of the key point data, it is important that the data is equally spaced. So we first spline interpolate it and then we extract the velocity using the derivative functionality in the Savitzky-Golay filter. And we're using the Savitzky-Golay filter because it is normally used to smoothen the data without distorting the signal tendency. To test our system, we made our own videos of 3 categories: good, average and poor. To validate our scoring mechanism, we try to classify these test videos based on the final scores computed. So far, the system is only able to distinguish between 2 categories. Although it is successful in giving bad scores to bad videos, it generates similar scores for both average and good videos. We are still working on it and we hope that we can remove this problem. This was all from our side. We hope you liked our video and our project. We have put great effort into making this possible and we would love to hear your comments. This is a very direct thank you representing my state, and I would also like to thank the Kavish committee for being so considerate with us. Thank you.